recording this program number 283. Authors of this paper: Anatoly Kulik, Andrei Chukhray, Alexander Yevdokimov, Irina Trofimova, and Tatiana Stolarenko, National Aerospace University, Kharkiv. Alexander, you will present, yes?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
One moment. So sorry for an internet connection. It could be some problems, but I hope it will be okay for you to hear me. Yes, one moment. Could you see my screen?
No, we see your screen, but don't see your presentation. Okay, now it's okay, and just full screen. Okay, everything okay. Welcome, Alexander.
Good afternoon, dear participants and organizers of the conference. I'm Alexander Yevdokimov, a PhD student representing High University and software engineering industry. And I would like to propose to your attention research work, relevant objectives of developing SQL adaptive learning technology. This topic is general enough because existing researches and advances are so limited and need to be structured in such form of overview research. The structure of presentation consists of the 5 parts: motivation and state of the art of the problem, strict objective of the research, main results that were obtained, case study, and conclusions. Here I would like to provide some data on why is this problem so important and relevant for today. From the standpoint of systematic process management, in general, traditional teaching of knowledge and skills is characterized by a number of destabilizing factors that negatively affect the quality of students' training. There are many of them. Psychological perturbing effects on students and tutors, as an example, distracting thoughts, mood swings, and so on. Next, students' difference that negatively impact the learning process is that they have different pace of learning. And also George Miller's restrictive 7 plus minus 2 limit on tutor's capacity for information processing. So the tutor is not able to grasp and control their learning path of our students for more than 7 plus minus 2 students simultaneously. But the key drawback is the fundamental impossibility of adapting to each student. Why is SQL? SQL dominated the jobs ranking in IEEE Spectrum's interactive rankings of the top programming languages this year. Normally, the top position is occupied by Python or other mainstays such as C, C++, Java, and JavaScript. But the sheer number of times employers said that they want developers with SQL skills, albeit in addition to a more general purpose language, boosted it to as number second. Also, the ever-increased use of databases, one. SQL has become the primary query language for accessing and managing data stored in such databases, specifically relational databases which represent data in table form with rows and columns. Databases serve as a foundation for many enterprise applications and are increasingly found in other places as well. For example, taking the place of traditional file systems in smartphones. Also, a lot of technology infrastructure uses relational databases to store and query their data. And while not the only way, SQL is still considered the main way of or most powerful way to interface with relational databases. Beyond the utility of databases in themselves, big data and
Alexander, do you hear us? Dear colleagues, 1 minute is we have some technical problem. Alexander, as I know, as I see, tries to reconnect. Так, что делать?
could you hear me now?
Yes, we you hear and see. Please.
Yes, I will continue. Sorry for the.
Yes, we see. We see. Maybe switch off your video.
Yes, it's okay. It's switching from the generator electricity to plain electricity.
Okay, please continue.
Yes. Could you see presentation? Yeah.
Yes, okay, please continue.
Beyond the utility of database in themselves, big data and the growth of streaming architecture are contributor to SQL's rise. Markets such as retail, e-commerce, and energy are seeing growing interest in application where data has to be processed and analyzed in real time, says Manish Devgan, Chief Product Officer at real-time data platform Hazelcast. The use of SQL within streaming systems opens up a new chapter in the story of SQL within the data domain. As shown in the widely cited review paper of Kurt van Len, the behavior tutoring systems, many adaptive computer learning technology can be represented as consisting of two loops, outer and inner. The outer loop is responsible for making a decision on the choice of the next task for the learner. The inner loop is intended for step-by-step assistance in solving the current task. Outer loop consists of uh, formation of a set of tasks for subsequent selection block and task selection block. Inner loop consists of minimum step-by-step diagnostic information, specific diagnostic information in case of a wrong decision, and next step hint, assessment of skills, and solution overview. The strict objective of the research is to formulate actual scientific objectives of developing SQL adaptive learning technology. They would like to provide the main results obtained from research. Obtained results consist of 4 blocks: student modeling, adaptive mechanics, student submission query analysis, and SQL learning system for production. Most acceptable approach due to its development, the smallest number of shortcomings compared to other approaches, and even their breadth of use for scientific purposes, we consider the probabilistic approach for student modeling. A Bayesian network is directed a cyclic graph in which verticals represents variables and arcs represents probabilistic dependencies between variables. Each were used in the student modeling. First, we examine a network consisting of three variables: skills, dependent from t time, object t plus delta t, and skills t plus delta t, where skills is the skill of the learner at time t. Object t plus delta t is the object entered by the student in the computer educational program at the moment of time t plus delta t. The domains of the values of the variable skills will be mastered or not mastered. Mastering or not mastering the skills, this means. And the variable object will be correct or incorrect. So the answer is right or wrong. The student skill at the moment of time t should affect the correctness of the student step at the moment of time t plus delta t, as well as her skill at the moment of time. In turn, the step taken by the learner must affect his skills at the next step. Thus, the variable skill must influence the variable object as well as the variable skills. On left down corner is provided a set of Bayesian networks for modeling the transformation of the student's skills in dynamics. On the right side is Bayesian networks for modeling the transformation of students' knowledge and skills when he or she solves a problem, taking into account the many components of knowledge and skills as well as diagnostic models. CKS is the ICE component of knowledge and skills at time at t. The object introduced by the student, and DM, the diagnostic model. Note that not all components of knowledge and skills, as well as not all diagnostic models, can participate in communication with object. Their aggregates are determined by a specific calculation task and a step in its solution at the moment of time t. And in addition, not only the components of knowledge and skills can take part in the model, but also such a component as, for example, inattentions of activation of diagnostic models. Here is provided a method for implementing the inner loop based on series signal parametric diagnostics of system, where starting from input, the analysis on the answer to the case problem. If it's correct, then it increases and moves to the next problem. If not, if first it starts error indication, then analyzes next answer. If correct, moves so on, and if not correct, pointing to the location. Also, if then it is not still correct, then it indicates the components of competence, which is not correct in the answer. And on the last step, it could analyze of a similar problem. Because of the query's presentation redundancy in SQL, for any problem, more than one correct SQL query might exist. Hence, it is necessary to verify whether a student SQL query fit a certain set of standards for a concrete given task. So there is a method for analyzing the student SQL queries. Intelligent tutoring system based on this approach, where is high similarity, then lexical and syntaxis analysis take place, and synthetic tree comparison There are some mistakes, system points, student mistake. If the tree is identical, the answer is right. If the similarity is low, then it checks performance on the database. If the tuples are different, answer is incorrect. And student proceeds with similar task. If the tuple sets are identical, so the answer should be right, and student proceeds with the next task. It is an example of SQL parsing tree that is presented here. Also, we started developed SQL tool where the presented approaches were implemented. The common structural components are presented that they utilize specific elements of knowledge, knowledge components. And the tutoring course is divided on clusters, where in each cluster there is similar SQL queries. And these queries are dependent and belongs to different tasks. All data required by SQL is stored in two databases. The first of them is used for executing user queries and retrieve resulting rows to compare with the expected results. Second database is used to store data required for making tutoring decisions. It shows on this figure. We used clustering algorithm that use a specific method that calculates for estimation QNC dissimilarity. We used Hamming distance for such purpose. It calculated on this formula, where plus in circle is a binary XOR operation. Queries that have equal similarities with two or more centroids will be sent into a cluster with less amount of data length at the current algorithm iteration. There is specified distance calculation where h is a function for calculating distance between iQuery and centroid. Centroid is an object where we save pre-save existing queries to the system. Theta is the number of queries in cluster. Theta is the total number of queries. Another peculiarity of SQL tool clustering algorithm is related to the calculation of this distance between queries to check if the query is similar.
Sorry, please 2 minutes for
Okay.
finish.
Okay. Sum is the number of two variables, and it is checked for frequency. Case study were tested on real students of 29 students. The tutoring course contained 47 tasks with 67 etalons. And after testing, testing outcomes exceeds input testing by 27%. So 16 of 25 students made mistakes in each task, but during output test, each student correctly solved at least 2 tasks. This indicates effectiveness of SQL tool as a tool for supporting educational process on learning SQL programming language. Conclusions. Based on the analysis of existing adaptive computer learning technologies for teaching professional skills in various domain areas in terms of their function and pedagogical principles embedded in them, as well as the analysis of known systems for teaching the SQL query. The relevant scientific tasks of developing and adapting computer technology for learning SQL are formulated. It should be relational algebra course, relational calculus, SQL, and SQL introduction. And then it should be estimated for effectiveness using the taxonomy of learning effectiveness indicators. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alexander, for your presentation. Thank you, your colleagues, for this paper. And now we have time for questions. My short question, what about specifics of application, your methods and technique in conditions of online education? What is it? What is the difference when students are offline and students are online in point of view implementation of this technique and tool? I understand that now it's very important for all students and for all lecturers. Please.
We did not investigate the offline or online mode for only educational process because these approaches could be applied also in online and offline mode both, because there's no a very big difference for student to use this system from the home or at the university, because it could be used for both ways of learning, both offline or online mode.
Thank you. Other questions, colleagues? I don't see, I don't hear. Thank you very much, Alexander, for your presentation and success in your work.
Thank you.
Okay.